If a statement is repeated as fact for long enough, it can pass into the public consciousness as being so. Such is the case with Scotland's first boxing world champion. Benny Lynch, the legendary wee flyweight fighter from the Gorbals, defeated Jackie Brown in 1935 to claim the honour, an achievement which has been confirmed over the passing decades in print and on film, in articles, books and documentaries. Lynch certainly was a world champion, but he wasn't the first Scotsman to do it. 7 years previously, a young fighter called Johnny Hill defeated American Newsboy Brown to claim the flyweight world championship, and had his feat recognised by the most powerful and influential body in the sport at the time, the New York State Athletics Commission. Johnny would live for little more than a year after his greatest night, and today lies in the village cemetery at Strathmiglo, Fife, the words on his headstone barely discernible. He is a figure largely forgotten by history. Johnny's story, like that of Benny Lynch, is one of great success, quickly followed by great tragedy. Johnny died at 23, Benny at 33, but they led very different lives.
Johnny Hill was born on Brunswick Road, Leith, Edinburgh, on December 14th, 1905. His father David was a stonemason, a trade Johnny would also learn. David had also been a keen amateur boxer and instilled a strict discipline in young Johnny when he decided to take up the sport. Throughout his career, Johnny would abstain from both alcohol and cigarettes. Johnny had 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and the family moved to the small rural village of Strathmiglo in Fife when Johnny was just 6 weeks old. Johnny's training took place at Leith Victoria Club under the guidance of Johnny's dad and the famous Scottish boxer Tansy Lee, co-owner of the gym and a man who had defeated the legendary Welsh flyweight Jimmy Wilde, known as the Mighty Atom, and considered by many to be the greatest of all time. After a spectacular rise through the amateur ranks, which included claiming the Scottish flyweight and bantamweight titles, Johnny had earned a shot at the British amateur title by the spring of 1926. The venue was London's Royal Albert Hall, and his opponent was Ernie Warwick, a popular English fighter who had competed at the 1924 Paris Olympics and had won the British title 3 years running. Johnny travelled south by train with his father, and the slight, pale Scotsman was given little chance against his opponent. Johnny had not read the script and comprehensively outboxed Warwick, including flooring the Englishman 10 times in round 3. It was a brilliant display, and Johnny won many fans south of the border that day.
Johnny stepped up to professional level with the loyal support of his backer Bernard Doris on September 30th, 1926, fighting Bill Huntley at Premierland in Whitechapel, London. Johnny stopped Huntley in the 5th round and over the following months became a fixture in the capital, mostly boxing at Premierland and the National Sporting Club in Covent Garden. His next pro fight was expected to provide a stern test, being against the experienced Mark Lesnick, who had fought all of the country's top flyweights. The bout ended in a no contest being declared after Lesnick, who was struggling badly, refused to come out of a clinch. This angered the crowd, who felt the Londoners should have been disqualified. Johnny's fans included several in the highest reaches of society, most notably the Prince of Wales, who would eventually become King Edward VIII. Contemporary reports of Johnny's fights often make reference to his incredibly accurate timing and ability to throw effective punches with either hand. As 1926 came to a close, his star was very much in the ascendancy. One reporter wrote, "Unless I am greatly mistaken, Hill is going to make a big name for himself as a professional."
1927 started well for Johnny, including a spectacular demolition of Phil Wolosky at the Royal Albert Hall in February. Wolosky was unable to get off the ropes and the towel was thrown in by his corner. In April, Ireland's Jim Hanna suffered a similar fate as Johnny fought in Scotland as a professional for the first time at Edinburgh's Waverley Market. After being comprehensively outclassed for 11 rounds, the towel came in. In May 1927, he was given a shot at the vacant British flyweight title and claimed the crown with a 14th round stoppage of Brighton fighter Alf Barber. That winter, Johnny had his first encounter with perhaps his toughest opponent, Emile Pladner, the French flyweight champion. Johnny emerged with a points decision, but it had been far from clear-cut, and Pladner managed to knock down Johnny for the first time in his professional career. A rematch took place in March 1928, with Johnny taking another narrow points win, and with it, the European flyweight title.
Johnny only took one more fight in 1928, but it was to provide him with the greatest victory of his meteoric career. On August 29th, he made his way to Clapton Orient Football Ground for an open-air fight in front of a record UK boxing crowd. Standing between Johnny and a very real claim to the World Flyweight Championship was David Montrose, known by his nickname of Newsboy Brown. Born in Russia but raised in Iowa, his pseudonym was derived from his days selling newspapers on street corners as a youngster. Brown had defeated Johnny McCoy in January 1928 to claim the world title, and successfully defended it against Speedy Dado. In Johnny Hill, however, he met his match. Brown had no answer for Johnny's speed and accuracy, and the points decision in Johnny's favour was never in doubt. Johnny said of the bout, "I fought the best fight of my career." One young woman was heard to shout out, "Paste him one, Johnny, for your mother's sake."
Upon his return to Fife, Johnny was met with a hero's welcome by the people of Strathmiglo at a reception held in his honour. It was reported that the address extended the community's congratulations and assured the recipient of their unqualified appreciation of his rare boxing abilities, kindly disposition and high moral character. Johnny was presented with a leather suitcase and his father a silver cigarette case. Johnny seemed shy and ill at ease with all the attention, and the speech he was pressed into giving by the crowd was brief. "I have great pleasure in coming here tonight, and I must thank you all very kindly. My father is better at speaking than I am. I will leave the rest to him." Johnny was back in action in early 1929, travelling to Paris to face his old foe Pladner. This time there was no doubt about the result, as the Frenchman dominated proceedings, Johnny perhaps suffering from his long layoff. Pladner became the only fighter to knock Johnny out in his career. Back in London, Johnny won a points decision over title contender Ernie Jarvis in March at the Royal Albert Hall. A rematch in June at Glasgow's Carntyne Greyhounds track ended controversially, with Jarvis being disqualified for a foul in the 10th round. Johnny returned to Strathmiglo to train for his next fight, a world title defence against highly rated American Frankie Gennaro, the 1920 Olympic champion. Once again, the venue would be the Royal Albert Hall, but it was a fight destined not to happen.
In late September, Johnny contracted what was described as a light cold after some road training near Strathmiglo in cool conditions. On Wednesday the 25th he was confined to bed, but by Thursday the 26th felt better enough to be up and about, although he did raise the possibility of postponing the Gennaro fight with his father that day. David advised him to hold off and see how his recovery went. During the night, Johnny's condition deteriorated, and the local doctor, Dr. Macmillan, who knew the family well, was summoned. Unfortunately, he was out dealing with another serious call, and by the time Dr. Cameron from nearby Falkland arrived, Johnny had slipped away, the result of a burst blood vessel in his lung. His final words were, "Mother, I will soon be with Jesus now."
Later that day at Folkestone, Frankie Gennaro arrived by boat. Upon alighting, he was informed by fight promoter Jeff Dixon of Johnny's death. Gennaro would say, "I can hardly realise that Mr. Dixon has told me the truth. What a greeting for me." Johnny's backer, Bernard Doris, was equally stunned by the loss of his young protégé. "It seems incredible. I can hardly bring myself to believe it. I would just like to say that in all my association with him and his father, I never found Johnny other than a clean, loyal and thoroughly sporting lad in the truest sense of the word, and his death leaves British boxing very much the poorer."
On the very date set for the title showdown, Johnny Hill instead was carried to his final resting place. Amongst the pallbearers was Frankie Gennaro, who travelled up to Fife with his fiancée to pay his respects. The turnout for Johnny's funeral was enormous, with numerous Masonic lodges represented and mourners from near and far, including boxing luminaries such as Tommy Milligan and Tansy Lee. At the graveside, the minister conducting proceedings said of Johnny, "His character was as straight as that straight left of his that he so often used with such effect."
Almost a century on from his death, Strathmiglo remains recognisable from the days when Johnny lived there and trained on the surrounding roads. While Benny Lynch is still widely regarded as Scotland's first world champion, a letter exists which proves Johnny is the real owner of the title. Written on December 20th, 1928 to Johnny's father, it came from Charles J. Harvey, Secretary of the New York State Athletics Commission. Harvey confirmed that Johnny was considered to be world champion and that the other two claimants, Gennaro and Izzy Schwartz, were not officially recognised. They would have to fight for the right to challenge Johnny. It seems that Johnny Hill was dealt an unfair hand in life, dying at just 23, and that his legacy has also been treated unjustly in the years since. He was, undoubtedly, one of Scotland's greatest ever boxers and the country's first world champion.